I showed you how to control one light, how to use a bare flash, and then using a diffuser on it and controlling it and using the flash guide. Now we're going to build on that idea and use two lights and how you actually set up two lights in a studio situation. So the main thing is that you have to understand the inverse square law. And part of the inverse square law says the distance of your light source to the subject will also fall behind the subject that same distance and then gradually fall off. So the number one mistake you want to avoid is if you put your subject close to the backdrop, your light will hit the backdrop and you can't independently control the light on your subject and the light on the backdrop. And that's the key to a two light setup when you're trying to illuminate your backdrop and use a gel, is that you need to independently control the light on your subject and the light on your backdrop. Because if your backdrop is too bright, you want to adjust the light on that. If your light on your subject needs adjusting, you want to be able to independently control the light on your subject. And that is the inverse square law. You have to remember that whatever distance this light is to your subject, you should have at least twice or maybe even 3 times that distance behind, just so that this light doesn't affect your background. So I'm gonna take a picture here, right? We were shooting at 5.6, okay? And so according to my calculator, 5.6 at ISO 100 is 1/8 power. Okay, and just to show you that this ambient light is not affecting this picture, I'm gonna take one shot without my flash. And then I'm going to show you the back of my screen and show you what it looks like. So without my flash, I take a shot and it looks, I'm going to ask Tess now. Tess, does that look pretty dark, right?
Yeah, I can't see anything.
There's a tiny bit there, but it's very insignificant. So I would say 94% of the light is going to be originated from what we create, okay? If I wanted to totally eliminate it, I guess I could move it up to f8. We could do that, but the more you move up your f-stop, the more power you're going to require from your flashes. And then when you're recycling and when you're using your, when you're shooting a lot, you want a fast recycle time and not have to wait for your flash to recycle. So I try to use the least amount of f-stop I can because that way I'm using very minimal power on my flash. Okay, so 5.6 is pretty good. And so when it's mostly dark like that, I'm good. So 1/8 power, setting it up, let's test out if the one light looks good. You don't want to set up all your lights at the same time because then if something's wrong, it's harder to troubleshoot because you don't know exactly what's going on. Okay, so I'm gonna do one light and I'm gonna set that up at 1/8 power. I've got it triggered through my softbox. A lot of times, right before I shoot, you always test your flash to make sure it's going on, because you don't want to start getting into it and then stop and start again. So I already know my light's set up, we're ready to go, and then I'm gonna start shooting. Okay, so everything's turned on. 1, 2, 3. Great. That light looks pretty good on my, like that. It's probably just a bit hot, okay? And so I'm gonna pull down, pull back this light, or actually I don't really like taking the light away from my subject. So here's my choices, right? I look at the picture, it looks pretty good, maybe a little bit hot, right? I can pull back my light. That's one of my choices. Or I could do other things. I'm not gonna pull back my light because I want my light as close as possible to my subject, because the closer the light is to the subject, the softer the light is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my flash and I'm just gonna crank it down a little bit. So maybe I'll take it down a half stop and see what that looks like. Turn your head this way a little bit, Tess, right there. Look back at me. Actually, I like that right there. And that looks perfect to me. Okay, so I like that light. Just adjusted it a little bit and we're good to go. Now I can bring in my second light, okay? Now, how do you calculate what to do on your second light? Well, we already know at 5/6, it's gonna be 1/8 power. So I have to make sure, the first thing you gotta make sure is that I can't be on the same group as this flash, right? Because I want to independently control them. So this is A, this is going to be B. So I have to set this on B. So now I have independent control, but the channel has to be the same, okay? And so according to my flash calculator at 5.6, I should be at 1/8 power at 6 feet away. So what I'm going to do is use a second light, but I'm gonna put a gel on it. Now, the reason why I'm shooting against this backdrop is because neutral gray tones usually work the best with gels. So if you're gonna gel your background, you don't want anything that's stark white. You want a medium gray, or even darker is better. Even black works. It'll take a little bit of light away from you, but a gray reflective always looks pretty impressive and the colors really pop. So I am treating this as my subject. So if I put my light 6 feet away from where the background is, right? So like I'm shooting and behind her is generally this area right here. So I have to put this 6 feet away from my flash. So if I reach down, right, and I put my flash right about here, that's about 6 feet away from the backdrop. So if I'm going according to the chart, 1/8 power, 6 feet away, gives me the right exposure. So I should be right on. So how do I know that I'm firing right there? I stand right here, right? I stand right where that backdrop's gonna be, right where I'm shooting and what I want behind her, and I just look at the flash. Is the flash firing at me? And it's like, oh, it's a little bit off. So I'm just looking at it, and I just know that that light's gonna land up right here. So that's pretty easy to determine, and it's about 6 feet. I can pull this a little bit further back, right? And that's how you line up your backdrop, okay? You treat this as a subject, 6 feet away, right? And make sure it's pointing the light there. Now, I just have to tell you that when you put a gel on your flash, it's actually making the light darker. But that's okay for me because I want my subject brighter than my background. And so that's actually the perfect situation for me. So when I do put a gel on it, it's gonna look great because it's slightly darker, or probably about a stop darker than my subject. So it should look fantastic, okay? So again, you come over here, you get ready, and I said B was gonna be in manual at 1/8 power, set it. I do a test to make sure everything goes on, and then I'm ready to rock and roll, okay? So let's do another photo this way. Turn your nose just a little bit this way, right? I love that. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Okay, so how about if you, let's try something. Can you lean on your a little bit more? Yeah, don't fall over. Yeah, you can cross your legs so you're a little bit higher. Yep. And then, yeah, okay, perfect, right? I like that. But you never want to shoot the flat of the hand because that is like this almost the same size as a person's face. So if we can shoot the edge of it and just like, she doesn't even have to lean on it. just like that, just like right off her face. That just looks great right there. Perfect. So turn your head just a little bit this way, look back. Oh yeah, I love that. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. And so now, what do you think about that?
That's great.
People are usually surprised because they go, wait a second, you got that in here? And this just shows you the power of knowing light and knowing about the inverse square law. You can take very basic equipment to create real professional quality shots. And it's just about your knowledge and being able to execute it. So that is a 2-light setup. And what I'm gonna do is, I like red, but what's great about it is that I could make that backdrop any color I want it to be by just my gel. So understanding the gels, you can literally take a neutral backdrop and just change it any color you want to, and you don't have to buy a whole bunch of backdrops. What's your favorite color?
I really like nude, so like anything like a nice pink or beige or
Okay.
yeah, pinks mainly.
Pinks, okay. Let's see if we can get a pink type tone behind her and give her something that she's attached to, right? Emotionally, a color. So we're gonna come over here and we're gonna find something a little bit pink here. Up in our bag of tricks here. She wants a kind of neutral. I mean, that's a kind of a chartreuse. This is kind of a light pink. Let's try that. Let's go with a little neutral color, and then we'll add a little pigment to it. How's that? Yeah. So we'll do 2, right? So this is kind of your kind of field night, kind of a little bit neutral. Okay, and so here's what I do on my flashes. You know, when you go to those trade shows and things like that, you get these funky wristbands that everybody gives away. Take them all, right? Because they fit perfectly over the flash, and you can attach your gels to them with those rubber bands that way. So I just grab them all and I use them. So we're gonna try to do something a little bit neutral. And this is not as dark as that, what we used before. So the background may be a little bit brighter and we might have to adjust it, but we know how to. And so my flash guide and my techniques and all that, you can use it. It's not gonna be 100% perfect all the time. You always have to make little minor adjustments here and there and understand how to make the adjustments, okay? And so let's do that. Let's set that up. Boom, right there. I'm gonna take a quick picture and see what it looks like. It might be great. I might need to lower it a bit, but we're gonna take it and see what it looks like. So I'll test it. Everything's going off. Okay, so let's try doing something a little bit different. Let's swing your legs out this way a bit, and then you're gonna kind of lean forward, cross your legs, so you can get a little bit higher. You're gonna lean forward this way, and you're gonna turn your nose back this way, the other way, because I'm always gonna have towards the light. Yeah, good, I love that. And then you're gonna look back at me. All right, so she's leaning forward. I'm gonna adjust this light just a little bit, right here. Okay, I love that. And 1, 2, 3, perfect. Ooh, kind of matches her top right there. 1, 2, 3. And that's got a very neutral feel to it. It's almost like matching her skin tone, right? And so here, let me show you. It's a completely different look, right?
That's really pretty.
See, she likes it because we asked her what color she wanted. She has to like it. Okay, so let's vary it and create a completely different color. She liked that. And just to show you how you can just change the whole look by just using a few simple gels. So I'm gonna take another type of pink, but it's gonna be a little bit more hot pink. And we're just kind of having fun at this point, using different gels. And what we're gonna do here is just set that up All right, you got the rubber bands, just checking it, doing a quick check of the light, looks great. And let's do that. Actually, I kind of like you that way. And let's try something a little bit different and turn your head this way. And can you actually put one hand like that? Right, good. And I'm gonna come up a little bit closer this way. Ooh, you look great. Turn your head this way just a little bit and then give me a little bit of smile right there. Nice, perfect. And so that's completely different look to it. It's not neutral, but it has a very high impact color. I just wanted to show you guys that you can have a variety of looks, and it just depends on your vision, what your client wants. And so this is how you control two lights, making sure that your subject is far away from your backdrop so the main light doesn't contaminate the background light and you have full control of each type of lighting.